Everyone loves a beautiful set of red top ignition coils in their engine bay. And recently I picked up a set from 034 Motorsport, and our friends there tell us that these will boost output of the coils by 10%. They are also heat sinked at the top, which will keep them nice and cool. Now I'm also gonna show you how to install some new spark plugs. We're gonna be using the Audi NGK factory plugs, regapping them a little bit because this is part of my stage 3 build video where I'm installing a hybrid turbo from TTE. It's the 710 model. And this is just one bump in that road. If you haven't been following along with these videos, I will leave a link up in your top corner. It's to the playlist of these videos. If you're going down the rabbit hole of a stage 3 build, or maybe you're just considering it as a future option, I think you might really enjoy following through the series. The hood's popped open and we're ready to begin. Now, if you're running your engine cover and the heat shield under it, it's time to remove it. The engine cover pulls right up, and then the heat shield will have 4 plastic little screws holding it down. Unplug our O2 sensor wire. So the way to do that is to kind of snake it out of this thing right here. My intake is sort of in the way. We're gonna pop the intake off. You want a 7mm. With that loosened, push the little button on the back and pull out. This part's pretty simple. You're gonna pull this tray towards you and up. There we go. You just kind of get under there and pull this bad boy out. Use a T25 Torx to bust loose these 2 screws up here. Make sure not to drop them down into the abyss. You should be able to wiggle this piece out, and it comes right out of our 034 intake. Now, if you're running a factory intake, it's a similar process. The intake can simply be wiggled out of its purchase. Make sure not to lose the little rubber booties. One of mine remained down there, or actually up here. Start removing the ignition coil connectors, and basically, there's these little tabs. You can use your fingers, you can use a little screwdriver. Just be careful and unhook these. This little wiring duct sits on 2 ball connectors. These are going to be T30 Torx. Use this little handy tool to pull the coil packs out, and basically the way it works is you spin this knob after inserting the tool into the coil pack, and it expands, and then you can yank the coil pack out. We'll see how well it works. Boom, got one of them out. Pretty easy, didn't break anything. Now to release the coil pack, obviously just spin the nut back. And I'm gonna keep these. These still look really nice, just in case I need to replace one. Use this setup with this thin-walled 17mm 12-point socket. It's really gotta be thin wall or it won't make it in there. Let's hope this one does. Our spark plug is right down there. Looks like I got a good grip on it. And it's magnetic, so it should hang on to our spark plug. There we go. Spark plug looks great, actually still looks pretty new. And having that magnetic plug puller is so much better than the rubber ones. No oil on it, looks good. Here are the new NGKs that I picked up. I want to make sure that these are correctly gapped. So here I've got my feeler gauges. I'm targeting 0.022. I have the 0.023 inch up as well, and it doesn't easily fit, which is good. And the 0.22 just fits just right. Gapping plugs is really easy. I'm not gonna go through a whole tutorial on how to do it. To reinstall them, we're gonna simply let the magnet do the work. So pop that in, see a nice little magnetic lock on there. We'll just go for the first easily accessible cylinder there. Start to carefully thread it in. You wanna make sure You're not cross-threading anything. Being real gentle. There we go, just a little hand snug. Now we're gonna torque down the spark plug, and the acceptable range is 20 to 25 Newton meters based on the factory manual. I'm gonna shoot for around 22, that should be safe. 23.3, that should be okay. Take our next plug, and I've already pre-gapped and checked all these. Plugs are in. I picked up this little packet when I ordered the plugs. Take a little bit, it's just silicone grease. We can apply a small bead. This side is almost done. Start threading those back in. The little ignition bolt is 9 Newton meters, so I've got my torque wrench set for that. Man, you gotta admit that red looks super cool on the engine. Red obviously adds horsepower, we all know that. Pop the clips back in. I want to take a brief second to thank 034 Motorsport for sponsoring this video. As always, you're going to find links down below in the description to the products, tools, equipment, production gear that was used in the making of this video. The Amazon affiliate links, as always, will help the channel with a small commission if you purchase anything at all on Amazon. Doesn't even have to be the stuff I link to. And of course, I'd love it if you liked, subscribed, rung that bell, and left me a nice comment down below in the description. I love talking to all of you guys. This one looks like it's gonna be a bit tougher. I think we just need to get some of this wire looming out of the way. Slide it. Hopefully that gives us enough clearance to get in there. If we look down here, there's a little clip. It's right there in the middle of the camera. Pushing down on that little clip down towards the car with your thumb, you can lift the back side of the loom, and then the front side is just like the passenger. It's held on a ball mount, and it may take a little wrestling around with it to move it. Go in there with our screwdriver, pop open the red tabs. And this last front one. Let's pop that. Move that out of the way a little bit. Got the first one out. And the second bolt. And the third. This one's a little annoying. Let's see if I can get that one out by hand. There we go, last one. This is a neat little ratcheting wrench. It makes things a little quicker for this kind of thing. All right, that spark plug looks pretty good. That one looks pretty good too, no oil. And last one. start reinstalling the spark plugs. Now I have pre-gapped these already, so I'm good to go. Now you want to make sure you don't cross thread. I'm actually going to install all three and then I'll torque them all. I've already got these pre-lubed. Let's throw them in. Pop that sucker in. That's probably the toughest one on this car. Get our next one. Get that in there real nice and snug. And this last little guy. And that one sits at a little bit of an angle, so just pay attention to that. Put our little bolts back in. Let's start to tighten these down. Move this little line back in place. Let's remount the ECU. Now, when I was filming this video, I missed a small step during reassembly, and I'll show it to you right now. These harness holders actually need little spacers installed to pull them away from our coil pack heat sinks. Now, I talked to 034 Motorsport to see why that is, and it's to create airflow to cool those heat sinks. Without installing those spacers, there's a small risk that you might melt some of the cabling or the harness holder here. So it's definitely important to install them, and I'll show you how to do that right now. Basically, before you complete the full reassembly, and it's a lot easier with this stuff out of the way, you want to get in there with your socket and you want to take out the little piece that's in there. I'll show you what it looks like right now. It's not very hard, but the one in here, you'll definitely want the stuff out of the way. And there's two on this side and one on the other side. So there we go, and it's these little things. And I found a good trick to install these is to put a small dab of grease, and I just use some PTFE, general automotive grease. I use it for suspension components, whatever, on top of the little spacer. So then when you mate it up, it won't just come off. It'll stay on there so you don't wind up dropping it somewhere in the engine bay. And then you just screw it back into place, tighten this thing up just a hair, not a ton. And then on the other side, if you recall, one of them is held on by a clip and one by one of those pop-up knobs. Just do the one knob on the other side. We've got the coils and the plugs installed, and I'm pretty excited about the added support the plug coil combination will give to my stage 3 install. I'm very excited. Obviously, you saw a little peek of the turbo. You know that it's already done, but do stay tuned for those future videos coming out. You definitely want to ring the bell, make sure you're notified when they're out. If you're not a subscriber already, please do subscribe. As far as the build difficulty, overall, I'd give this a 1 out of 5 wrench. I do think there are some minor complications, especially around the wiring. It really gets in the way. But if you're patient, you take your time, there's not a whole lot of specialty tools needed, really just the puller for the coils, and that one's not strictly needed. It's just a good idea so you don't lose one of the coil pack boots in there. You know, you do need that thin walled socket, the magnetic one, to get the spark plugs out. But other than that, this is such an accessible thing that basically anybody can do. Grab a beer or whatever you like to drink, get to your car, spend a Saturday doing it, super easy. You'll be done in no time. If you've never done it before, give yourself a couple hours, you'll get through it. As far as the build quality, the coils do really seem nice. I like the little heat sinks. They do seem functional, they do get hot, and 034 provided pretty good instructions. I was going off the factory instructions, but theirs are very comprehensive. If your car's getting up there in mileage, or maybe you're looking to go to something like a stage 3 build, this is a great option for you. I am gonna put out a whole bunch more videos, as I mentioned, for that stage 3 build, so I really hope to see you in the future. For now, I need to get a little rest, and I'll be back as soon as I can.